Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fortune Tellers wrestling show. I'm already sluggish, but this is our Elimination Chamber and Raw and SmackDown review. And I would have done it yesterday, but stuff came up, and it's another solo review by me, Teebs. And I don't know what Juffles Eric is doing at all. He never replied to my text, so like I said that one time when it was just me, the show must go on, of course. So yeah, I honestly, I'm gonna review Elimination Chamber and Raw and SmackDown, of course. But when I first watched these shows, well, less the Elimination Chamber. When I watched Raw and SmackDown, I initially thought they were better than they actually were. When I gave it more thought, I really came to kind of think the shows were lame. Not gonna lie, and I'll get into it. But this Elimination Chamber pay-per-view had really only two, in my opinion at least, good things on it, and those were both the Chamber matches. Funnily enough, obviously those are the main attraction matches, but I was still expecting a lot more out of the Chamber card, and to be quite honest, I don't know why, because the card itself really was not all that, what's the word I'm looking for? The card itself really wasn't all that great to begin with. Not to be, like, dickish or anything, not against the talent or anything, but I'm just saying, like, I don't even know why. WWE has such a good roster, and more often than not, when you see a pay-per-view card anymore in WWE, you just kind of think, eh. And I'm not saying that's always. I'm not saying that always happens, but this card especially kind of felt weak. And, well, let's just get going, and I'll try and explain as. Again, I'm not going to go through the pre-show because the show is already long as it is, and the pre-show match was Buddy Murphy versus Akira Tozawa for the Cruiserweight title, and might I add, that match was good enough to be on the main show. There's no reason the Cruiserweight guys should not be on the main show at this point, in my opinion. I was so annoyed when I read that Buddy Murphy and Akira Tozawa was going to be on the pre-show when Braun Strowman and Baron Corbin, for the billionth time, was on the main show. And, of course, we'll get to that. So I might as well just start. It started off, the Elimination Chamber started off with a big video package, of course, talking about how devilish the structure is and how intimidating it is and how dangerous it can be. And it's actually a lot safer, of course, as we know. The chamber itself used to be a lot more painful. Like, the floor outside of the ring used to be metal and stuff, and it really did hurt when somebody would get slammed on it. And they changed it for the better to make it more safe. I don't care. That's not a problem to me. If people are safer, then that's a plus for me. People complained a lot when they first renovated the chamber, and I think the first match with the renovated chamber was 2017. 2017, when Bray Wyatt won the WWE Championship in the chamber. That's the first time they renovated, and people were. I ranted about this. I mean, privately, but, like, why would you be unhappy with the fact that a match is safer for the workers? Do you honestly want people to get hurt and actually have injuries? I never got why people wanted matches to be more harmful. As long as you sell that the match is harmful, as long as you sell everything as if it hurts, it's literally not a problem. If you sell that something hurts, people are going to go, oh, okay, that must hurt. So, unless it's completely hokey, but I'm talking generally speaking. So, the first match of the night was the Women's Elimination Chamber tag match to crown and first ever, I should say, first ever women's tag team champions, which isn't completely true. They've had women's tag team champions in the past, but in this new era, in this new women's evolution, as they always say, Of course, it's only a women's evolution in WWE, but that's beside the point. New tag team women's champions in WWE. So it was Bayley and Sasha Banks versus the throw together team of Carmella and Naomi, and we'll get to the what happened with them in the last week. Iconic duo Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, Fire and Desire, which I guess is Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville's new team name. I guess that's their new name. Riot Squad, which was Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan, Nia Jax and Tamina, and of course Sasha and Bayley versus Sonya and Mandy start off the match because they got pinned in those matches on Raw and SmackDown to see who starts first and who goes last. Well, actually, not who goes last, but who goes first. So Sonya and Mandy, I thought actually looked pretty good in this match, and I was expecting Sasha and Bayley to look good because they're pretty good. And match starts off with them. Sonya hit a wicked spear counter onto Sasha in the corner, which always looks great. Sonya actually has really good spears and spine busters. Like, I think Sonya is so I almost said overrated on accident. Sonya is so underrated in my opinion. The fact that she's not even considered. You know what? Actually, I think I will save that rant for SmackDown because I was going to bring that up anyways for SmackDown because it's relevant. So matches going. There were some cool spots. Bayley hit a neck breaker onto Mandy with her foot hanging in the cage outside the ring, and that looked pretty cool. Riot Squad enter. They do some things, of course, and again, I'm trying not to drone on and on and on about this, but actually, I should mention that really Riot Squad didn't do a whole lot before Iconic Duo came out. They claim that it's every 4 minutes a new team enters the match from the pods, but it's kind of like the Rumble. They claim every year the Rumble, every 90 seconds a new participant comes out, but it's just whenever they want them to. It's not actually 90 seconds. There's no consistent coming out, if you will. So it literally felt like about 2 minutes, maybe even less, before Iconic Duo came out after Riot Squad. So when Iconic Duo came in, everybody was on the mat just laying dead, that whole spot where everybody's down, and then Iconic Duo came in and just started trying to pin everyone. Like, it's just like in a big frenzy, which was kind of funny. And I was really wondering, how the hell is the ref supposed to keep up with all this? If 2 people make pin attempts at the same time, you can't really keep up with that at all. And there was a point in this match where a ref counted it looked like he counted 3. He counted 2. 2 people were making pin attempts at the same exact time. So he was counting both of them. Like, he counted 2, and then somebody kicked out. But then he counted 3. Well, he counted 1, I guess, on a different pin. So he counted 2 on one of them, and then counted immediately after that, which I thought eliminated I think it was Sasha. I think it was Sasha that happened to that, or happened to, you know what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I'm not a fan of the whole 2 people pinning, another 2 people at the same exact time, because that's going to get confusing if you try to do that the whole match. The fans aren't going to know it's just going to be confusing. It's not helpful. So up next, Fabulous Glow, Carmella and Naomi are out, and I gotta say, it's funny, I forgot to mention this. When Carmella and Naomi came out to make their entrances, I heard some boos for Carmella, because of course, this show was on last week, Sunday. This show was last week, and the day before this show, news broke out that apparently Corey Graves, the commentator, had cheated on his wife with Carmella. Now, I actually meant to bring this up on last week's review of Raw and SmackDown before the Chamber, but I forgot. But all I'm going to say, and now I was proven right, of course, everybody was saying how Corey Graves is a piece of shit and this and that and the other thing, and he's terrible, and how could he cheat on his wife? He has children. Well, when that first started, when that whole rumor and thing came out, because Corey Graves' wife posted on Instagram a bunch of shit calling Graves out for it, and of course everybody just took her side. You know, there's no proof or anything. There was no actual proof. She showed texts and stuff of her getting into a little bit of a spat with Graves, but that's not actually proof that he did it. But it turns out that Graves and his wife were separated for months before any of this came out. So they've been separated for a while, and they were in the process of getting a divorce. And I just gotta say, it seems kind of ridiculous to me that, and I went on a rant, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, about Corey Graves and his commentary and how annoying as shit he is, and how he really is. He's got some problems, but I'm a fair man. There was no proof that he had actually done that. Cheated, I say. It looks like there's probably some truth to the fact that he slept with other people, but that's only because they were separated and they were in the process of getting a divorce anyways. So, and also I have to say, it's none of our damn business in the first place. People live off of drama. I said this on Twitter. People really live off of drama, and I can't get over the fact that it's just so. I'm so over everybody just. I was saying that Graves is a bad person to begin with. He's definitely a dick, that's for sure. But cut the man some slack. Just be fair, okay? He really doesn't deserve. Neither does Carmella to begin with. On the other side, although Carmella does have some bad taste in men, might I say, but just lay off. It's just annoying when all this drama comes out, because there was no proof that he cheated. If it turns, and his wife actually deleted all the posts and her Instagram account in general. So I don't know. Do with that what you will. So I had to bring this up because Carmella got booed when she made her entrance on this show. I heard boos, and for that matter, not lesser known, but Jimmy Uso was arrested. Naomi's husband was arrested for getting ready to square up with the cops in a drunken fashion. So that made the rounds a little bit, and Naomi came out with a statement and blah 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 blah. Whatever. It was whatever. I'm dragging on too long about this. So Naomi and Carmella come out, and they got eliminated. Just like that. So they were the first eliminated. They got them out of that match quickly before people started chanting things and whatnot. So I don't know what Carmella does after this. I would hope this is just normal and everything, because nothing wrong was done. But yeah, Iconic Duo eliminated Naomi and Carmella with a cool little pinfall predicament. It was a combination of a jackknife and a sunset flip, or the other way around, I should say. So both of them pinned Naomi at the same time, which was a cool pinfall, I thought. So after this, Nia and Tamina came out. They were the last to enter, of course, and they did the spot where Iconic Duo hid in one of the pods from Nia and Tamina, which was funny. I thought it was funny, at least, and of course, they dragged him out of the pods. They hit them with Samoan drops and pinned them. So Iconic Duo are the next eliminated. And match continues along these lines. And there was a big spot with Liv and Sarah. Sorry, I had a little bit of a brain fart. Liv and Sarah both climb up to one of the pods, and both teams, everybody is outside the ring at this point. And well, not everybody, I should say, but there were 4 people outside the ring, and Liv and Sarah both at the same time jump off of either side of the pod, landing and crashing into Nia, Mandy, Sasha, and Bayley. Or it might have been Sonya, but it doesn't matter. And that was a really cool spot that the cameras almost missed. Poor production. They almost missed it. So that was annoying. They showed a really cool slow motion spot of it. which was awesome. That made them look great, I thought. And after this, Liv tried to hit a splash or tried to hit a splash on Nia Jax. Nia Jax caught her. She hit a huge Samoan drop on her, and Tamina hit the splash, the Superfly splash, and pinned Liv Morgan, which means they eliminated Riot Squad. So, and Tamina's splashes are not very good, in my opinion. Not very good at all. And I don't know how, because her father invented the fucking Superfly splash. So, well, he didn't invent the splash, I don't think, but it's the Superfly splash. It's called that for a reason. So, I don't know why she's so bad at it, but anyways. After this, I honestly thought they did a huge spot where Nia is going to slam Bayley through the pod by running into her, but Bayley moves out of the way last second, and Nia goes right through the pod, like destroyed in the pod. So that leaves her out. She's done after that. So Tamina's in the ring, and everybody capitalized. Sonya, Mandy, Sasha, and Bayley all capitalize on it, and Tamina's by herself in the ring, Nia out. They all hit their big moves on him, and Bayley hit the top rope elbow, pinning Tamina, thus eliminating Nia and Tamina. And I was so freaking glad that they didn't go with Nia and Tamina as the first ever quote-unquote women's tag team champions, because I could have seen them easily doing that just for the heat of it, because we all know they only care about getting heat. So the last two are Bayley and Sasha versus Sonya and Mandy, the two to start it up, which I was actually kind of surprised by. I was just thinking they were gonna have the last two be Sasha and Bayley versus Nia and Tamina, but I was totally fine with this. During this match, they sold that Sasha had like a shoulder injury, because, as you know, Sasha has had a shoulder injury for a couple weeks now. Shoulder, arm, it's interchangeable, and people were wondering, is she going to be cleared for the match? Is she going to be okay? So she was okay for the match, but then they re-aggravated her injury in this match by Mandy threw her into the post, shoulder first and arm first. So people were really speculating, is she going to be okay? So finish of this match was Sasha went for the bank statement, but her arm was so hurt that she couldn't fully cinch it in. She went for the bank statement on Sonya, I should say. So what she did was she took her foot and like wrapped it around Sonya's face to like really bring the torque back on Sonya, because to like make up for her arm being hurt. And I don't know. I kind of thought that finish was a little lame. Sonya tapped out, by the way, and that means that Sasha and Bayley are the new women's tag team champions, and they were crying after the match, and they were saying, just nobody's worked harder than us, and we fought so hard, and we did this for the fans and the whole women's division. And it was your typical babyface promo after a big win like this. So yeah, congratulations to them. I'm totally fine with them winning. It might have been predictable, but whatever. To be honest, nobody was built up better than Sasha and Bayley. So nobody could have well, I can't say believably, but nobody would have been a better pick than Sasha and Bayley. They really were fooling me, though. I thought at one point Sonya and Mandy were going to turn it around and win and swerve us. And I would have been cool with that too. Maybe it would have built them up as a big freaking unit. And yeah, I thought the match was fine. The middle part, there were times where it kind of felt boring and nothing was happening, but the beginning and the end of that match was pretty good in my opinion, especially the ending sequences. So that's fine. Up next, we got Miz comes out, and he congratulates Sasha and Bayley, of course, and Maurice comes out with him, and he announces that they're going to have another baby. So congrats to them, I guess. I wonder if he's going to name it another weird hipster-esque name, which is it's just kind of funny to me. That Monroe Sky. I mean, Monroe, I guess it's fine, but I don't know. It kind of sounds hipsterish to me, ish. So, yeah, I thought during this segment right here, Miz was talking about how he was going to retain the tag titles with Shane McMahon against the Usos. And I thought, well, they're going to lose. Anytime, well, I can't say anytime, but if a babyface comes out and cuts a promo saying how they're going to retain or win the titles or do whatever, they're going to lose. They're going to freaking lose. And I guess the Usos are portrayed as heel in this program. So I thought, well, Miz and Shane are going to lose. And so, yeah, it was the Usos versus Shane McMahon versus the tag team titles. SmackDown tag team titles, I should say. And I'm not going to lie. I was completely apathetic about this match going into it. I didn't care for it at all. Shane hit a coast-to-coast on one of the Usos. I can't remember which. And Shane went up for another coast-to-coast on the other side, and he got caught on the other Uso, I should say. They were both in the corner. They were both at the same time in the corners. So he went for the coast-to-coast on the other one, and he was met with a super kick. So that looked good, I guess. And I gotta give it to Shane. As much as I was apathetic about this match and did not like Shane McMahon as champion whatsoever, I have to say, anytime he does his wild freaking moves and stunts and coast to coast and blah blah blah, he hit his classic flying elbow off the top through the announce table onto Jey Uso, I think it was. And yeah, that looked awesome. Shane was out after that though, so it's like a double-edged sword. You take out your opponent with that move, but you also take yourself out. So that move always looks awesome. Shane really knows how to do it. That's fine. So The Miz goes into the ring as the legal man, and he's really thinking he's gonna win and finally retain, I guess. And he's all going yes, 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 and being kind of a little bit showboaty, I think. So Miz hits the skull crushing finale. He goes for a pin, and Jimmy counters into a crucifix pin and wins the tag titles. So Miz and Shane, especially Miz, was really selling this loss, as if to say there's going to be this. Of course, we know later on that this this storyline with Miz and Shane is not over. So, for what it was worth, the match was fine. I wasn't into it because I didn't care about the story and I thought it was dumb. The match though was fine. The Usos are now 6-time tag team champions, and I'm happy that the Usos are still champs, or champs again, I should say. But yeah, will Shane turn on Miz? Will Miz turn on Shane? I guess we'll find out in the weeks to come. So, up next, we got Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush versus Finn Balor in a 2-on-1 handicap match for the Intercontinental Championship. And this match also was pretty meh with me. This match really nothing happened. The whole story of the match was every time Lio was in the ring, Finn had a chance. But every time Bobby was in the ring, he had no chance, and he just sold the whole time. So why the hell would you not just have Lashley in the whole time? And that had to do with the finish. Lio tagged himself in when Lashley had the match won. So Lio tagged himself in and said, I got this. And, shit happens. Finn totally had his comeback. He knocked Bobby off and hit the coup de grace on Lio. And Finn Balor has won the Intercontinental Championship. His first title since the Universal Championship when he was vacated of it in 2016. The fact that a guy like freaking Finn Balor hasn't even won a single championship since 2016, and I know he was injured for a while, but even still, that leaves about 2 years since he came back from injury, and they've done nothing with him. And now they finally had his big title win. in 2 years be against Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush in a nothing match, really, on a not I don't want to say throwaway pay-per-view, but still. I'm glad that the Intercontinental Champion has a good champion now. Hopefully they don't botch it. I thought Dean Ambrose's title win was horrible, and then Bobby Lashley. I wasn't even against Bobby Lashley beat the champion. So, after this happened, Bobby Lashley destroys Lio Rush in the ring because he's pissed that he just lost the title. So, of course, Bobby Lashley hits the freaking big spine buster, or what is that move called? He lifts him up and destroys Lio, but he really lifted him up because Leo's a small dude. So, yeah, after this, we got something that really pissed me off. This whole next part really annoyed me. So Charlotte Flair comes out after this. She comes out. She said she was going to watch this match ringside, Ronda Rousey's title match ringside on Raw or SmackDown. I think she said she was going to watch it ringside. So she came out. She cut this boring-ass promo. I thought it was boring, honestly. Like, there were the man signs in the crowd when she was cutting this promo. I couldn't care less. She said, Becky just panders for your attention. I have all the love and affection and approval I need. Just blah, blah, blah. I didn't care. So, Ruby Riott comes out, and she's the challenger for Ronda Rousey for this Raw Women's title. And Ruby comes out, and Ronda Rousey comes out in Sonya Blade style attire because she voice acts Sonya Blade the newest Mortal Kombat video game. And her attire actually looked awesome. Her attire was great. She should wear this more often, to be honest. It looked better than her current attire, in my opinion. But I was excited for this match. And I'm not lying. I legitimately was excited for this match. As I've said before, Ruby Riott's one of my favorite women's wrestlers. I'm very... I can see that Ronda can put on great matches, as she has before. Ruby's obviously a great wrestler. I was excited for this match, and I was like, well, you know what? They did horrible work building up Ruby as an actual competitor. But damn it, if they could have a great match, maybe, just maybe, Ruby can prove herself to be a... And if they really put her over in this match, not put her over like in the sense that she'll win, but just really put her over in the sense that she's actually legitimate and she can compete instead of... They neglected her in this story, which was annoying. So what do? They squash her. They fucking squash Ruby Riott in 1 stinking minute and 40 seconds. I was pissed. I was so annoyed that we got robbed of what could have been a great match. Ronda just beat up on poor Ruby. Ruby got 0, and I'm not exaggerating. She got 0 offense. And Ruby took the Piper's Pit. Ronda grabbed the arm, and when she grabbed her arm, I thought, they're not actually going to do the finish this soon, are they? They did. Ronda cinched in the armbar. Ruby tapped out instantly, and Ronda Rousey retained the title via submission. And I was so annoyed. And I'm not trying to be biased. I'm just trying to be like, why would you squash? Why? It's bad enough that the Riot Squad has been shown to be just nothing more than jobbers at times. But Liv and Sarah actually had a great, for all intents and purposes, a great showing in that women's chamber match. They looked pretty damn good in that match. They had some high spots. They had some good offense. They looked good. Why would the leader of them be squashed? You're totally devaluing her. We all know that she's good, too. And, of course, I wasn't the only one who was pissed, as a lot of a good portion of Twitter, wrestling Twitter, thought Ruby getting squashed was ridiculous, was totally inexcusable, I should say. And it gets worse. It gets worse. I'll say why it gets worse. So, Ronda is showboating to Charlotte. She's lifting up her title. Charlotte gets in the ring. They all stare off at each other. And then the camera cuts to Becky Lynch on crutches in the crowd as she's walking slowly on crutches through the crowd to the ring, and the security, she's suspended. Remember, Vince McMahon suspended her on Raw, so she's suspended. So the security is just there. They just let her walk in. They just let her waltz into the ring. That's some fucking shitty security, if you ask me. So she just waltzes in. The security's doing nothing. She's on her crutches. She has a stare down with Charlotte and Ronda. So then, out of nowhere, Becky destroys Charlotte with one of her crutches. She annihilated poor Charlotte. In fact, after this happened, Charlotte posted on Instagram, I think it was, a selfie of her with her arm all bruised up from this beating that she took from a crutch. She was wailing on Charlotte, and she was actually laying it in. And Ronda's just watching this like it means nothing. Ronda's just kind of like, she's just watching it. She's not even selling the fact that she's not even selling the fact that Charlotte's getting destroyed by Becky with a crutch. But then, Ronda, I guess, I don't know, she turns her back on Becky, and Becky takes the other crutch and wails on Ronda. And Ronda, for some reason, instead of selling this properly, she just tries to get up over and over again and doesn't even really sell it. And Ronda was she got worse. She got a worse wailing than Charlotte because she got hit in the head. She had to have her head glued because it was busted open, and her arm was busted open. It needed stitches. Her elbow. People were trying to actually compare Becky to Nia and being reckless, and I chuckled when I saw that, when people were doing that, because it turns out, apparently, it was reported that it was Ronda's idea for Becky to destroy the shit out of her with a crutch and lay it into her. It was apparently Ronda's like, and I heard another interesting take about it. Somebody said that, of course Ronda's going to get hit in the head, because if you notice, when Ronda's getting hit in the head, when Ronda's getting hit with this crutch, she's contorting her body all over the place. When Becky's trying to not hit her in the head, Ronda keeps just contorting her body in weird ways, and Becky's just wailing. But, I can kind of see that a little bit, kind of not at the same time. It doesn't matter. I thought this segment was dumb. I was one of the few people I actually didn't like this segment, because it shows that Becky being suspended means jack shit. Like, why do a suspension angle if she's just going to keep showing up? She was suspended on SmackDown 2 weeks ago. So here she is on Raw again. She just comes out on Raw. She was invited, by the way. So they suspend her, but then she's invited. So then Vince McMahon suspends her, but here she is again. Security's there doing nothing as she's destroying another two, actually, competitors and performers. So yeah, I thought this segment was dumb. I thought the wailing parts and Becky looking like a badass looked fine. That was the part that I liked. Other than that, I thought the segment was kind of lame, because I was also still salty that Ruby Riott was squashed in 1:40. So then this is, again, where things got bad. Baron Corbin versus Braun Strowman in a no DQ match. As I said earlier, I wish that this was on the pre-show and not Buddy Murphy versus Akira Tozawa, because I'm so tired of seeing Baron Corbin and Braun Strowman in a feud. I'm tired of it. They hit each other with some kendo sticks. Baron Corbin tried to throw a chair at Braun, and Braun caught it out of the air. Braun hit the power slam onto Baron after they hit each other with a bunch of shit, of course. That's a no DQ match. It was pretty basic. Steel steps, kendo stick, chair. Braun hit his power slam on Baron, but instead of, right as he's about to go for the pin, I guess, or maybe he was in the process of about to give him a power slam, but then Drew McIntyre's music hit. So McIntyre, for some reason, is a stooge of Corbin. I don't know why. As far as I know, Corbin isn't the GM anymore. How could Drew possibly use Corbin anymore? So Drew comes out. He helps Corbin. He tries to destroy Braun. And then eventually Braun powers out, and He's laying the smackdown, as you will, on the Drew McIntyre. But then out of nowhere, Bobby Lashley comes out. So at this point, I'm getting flashbacks from when Raw's GM was Baron Corbin, when they had that ridiculously awful stable of McIntyre, Corbin, and Lashley. So for no reason, they're just bringing them back together. Why? Why must this continue? Why? Honestly, please give me one reason why this needs to continue. So they proceed to prolong the longest drawn-out beating of Braun Strowman in the history of wrestling. It went on and on and on. And again, I was already over this because this match was long. This match shouldn't even be happening in the first place, for starters, and it was longer than what should have been a great match in Ruby versus Ronda. So they did the spot. They take 2 steel steps and put them in the ring. They put them side by side next to each other, and then they bring out 2 tables. They stack the tables on each other. They take Braun onto the steel steps. They triple powerbomb him through both tables, which actually looked, to this credit, that spot was actually kind of cool. At least that looked cool. So yes, Baron Corbin pinned Braun Strowman with the help of Drew and Lashley. And I was so over this when this happened. We're going to have Baron Corbin beat freaking Braun Strowman? Really? That's what we're going to do with him? Braun Strowman is dead. I don't give a shit that it took 3 men to beat him. He's dead. Losing to Baron Corbin in any fashion is stupid, and it makes no sense. So yeah, I don't care. I know they had a match later the next night, but I'll get to that. But even still, with that being said, Braun Strowman is dead. Nobody could possibly care less about him. I know I don't. I'm totally over him. He's just a guy to me. They ruined Braun Strowman. He was one of the hottest acts in the entire company, and they just squashed it. You know, God forbid a guy actually be a star and gets over with the crowd. And yeah, that's that. They all stand tall. I was pissed. Drew McIntyre is better than Lashley and Corbin combined. He does not need to be with these 2 goofs. McIntyre is too good for that shit. And after this, we got a segment backstage with Miz and Shane. And Shane is being tended to by a doctor. He's got some ice on him, and he's hurt from that table spot, of course, and the coast-to-coast stuff. And Miz is backstage, and he goes crazy, pretty much. He just clears the table backstage and yells. He's mad that he lost the titles for him and Shane tells him to calm the F down. He didn't actually say that, but tells him to calm down and go home. I'll see you on SmackDown. And Miz leaves. He's mad. And then after this, Lacey Evans' music hits. And she walks down the ring looking like a lady, and then she just leaves again. Huh, hell of a call-up for Lacey Evans, huh? Hell of a freaking call-up. Not like we could have her wrestle or anything. Let's just have her show up. And I read that apparently after Ronda leaves, Lacey Evans is going to be the next top woman. Boy, are they doing such a great job building her up in such a role, huh? Hasn't wrestled a single match other than the Rumble. You know? Hell of a call-up. I could rant for hours about the NXT call-up situation, but I'm not going to, because I probably will. Every time I say I won't do something, I will. Inevitably. So up next, we got all the entrances for the final match of the night, the main event, the men's Elimination Chamber match for the WWE Championship. They all make their entrances. As we all know, Randy Orton won the gauntlet on SmackDown to be the final participant in the Elimination Chamber match. To enter, I should say. So Daniel Bryan comes out, and he starts cutting a promo. And he tries to bring Eric Rowan comes out with him, of course. He tries to bring Rowan with him, but the referees tell him, "Nope, Rowan's gotta go. He's gotta go to the back. Can't have him in here." And Daniel acts like he's never been in a freaking Elimination Chamber match before, but he knows this, and he's like, "What? This is ridiculous. This is a travesty." And I thought this match was this was the match of the night. This was a really good match. It was probably better than the women's tag match. If I had to compare the two chamber matches, I thought this one was better. And Daniel Bryan and Samoa Joe start off in the ring, and excuse me. I had to clear my throat, and of course I tried to mute my mic, but it actually didn't mute. So unfortunate. Excuse me. So after that, they fight a little bit, and they have some good offense. And Kofi Kingston comes out at third, and this got a huge pop because, as we know, they had a star make. I mean, Kofi's already a star, but they really had another star-making performance for Kofi on SmackDown during the Gauntlet match. So, because of course he's replacing Mustafa, so Kofi looks like a star. He comes in, he runs wild. Kofi climbs the cage and leaps onto Samoa Joe and Daniel Bryan outside the ring, which looked awesome. He did a trust fall, which was fun. AJ Styles comes out next at number 4. He hits a cool a double DDT onto Daniel and Kofi at the same time. Only one of them was reverse and one of them was normal. So, after this, AJ Styles eliminated Samoa Joe, and many people have said it, but just the treatment of Samoa Joe is kind of annoying. We all know that Samoa Joe's great. Like, we couldn't have had him eliminate. I don't even know. I can't even think of anybody. We couldn't have had him eliminate AJ, possibly. I get they want to protect AJ, but... Or, hell, they could have just had Joe eliminate Jeff Hardy, for that matter. I don't know. I don't want to sound like everyone else. I don't want to bore anybody, but... Yeah, AJ Styles pinned Samoa Joe with the phenomenal forearm. Jeff Hardy came out next. He went wild. He went... Oh, I say wild, but he was not in for a very long time at all. Jeff Hardy went for... Actually, this was actually a really cool spot. AJ Styles was draped on the top rope, like laying on the top, across the top ropes, on his stomach. So Jeff climbed one of the pods and did a swanton onto AJ on the top rope, which looked awesome. That was a great spot. But after that, AJ hit the flying knees onto Jeff Hardy, pinning Jeff Hardy. I don't know why we couldn't have Joe pin Jeff Hardy to at least have him win something. But yeah, after that, it's just Daniel and AJ and Kofi at the moment. And then Randy Orton comes out. He's the last person. Orton hits everybody, and he goes crazy, and AJ mounts some offense onto Randy, and he goes for the phenomenal forearm onto Randy. But before AJ can before he can fly off the ropes, before he takes flight off the ropes, Randy catches him in the RKO position and hits an RKO off, like, Randy was on the ground regularly. It looked like a Tower of London, if anybody remembers that move from when Nigel McGuinness wrestled. It was just the draping cutter from the top rope when he was on the mat. He was in the ring, and he would drape his opponents from up top. That's what it kind of looked like. So he hit an RKO from there and pinned AJ Styles, and I was not seeing that coming. I thought AJ was going to be in the final too. So Randy goes for an RKO, but gets caught with the Trouble in Paradise from Kofi. Kofi pins Randy Orton. So the final two is Kofi versus Daniel. So at this point, everybody's losing their minds. I'm losing my mind. I'm thinking Kofi might actually well do it. I shouldn't have. I got worked, but it's so fun. It's not very often when you finally get a moment of actual, wow, he might actually do this. I'm actually surprised. I'm actually excited. Kofi might actually do this. So this match itself was awesome. This match itself was great. Kofi climbs up to the top. He climbs up to the top of the chamber pod, one of the pods. They're both fighting up there. He's hitting Daniel in the head. He's taking his head and he's smashing against the plexiglass that's up on the chamber. And also they did a rope break in this match too, which I thought was kind of dumb. But then I realized that somebody pointed out they did a rope break in a no DQ match. But then somebody pointed out you can still rope break, but you can't win if somebody has the ropes. So pretty much you're forced to give up the hold if somebody gets on the ropes. You can't win the match with a submission when somebody's grabbing onto the ropes, I guess, is what somebody pointed out. So that at least makes sense. I can get behind that. That makes sense. So I just always still thought that there was, in general, no rope breaks in a no DQ match, no matter what. Even if the dude's holding on to the ropes, you can still win the match with a submission. So it doesn't matter, you know? What are you going to do? Like, not call the match if he taps out? It's a no DQ match. Who gives a shit if he has the ropes? So anyways, they're both up top on the pod. Kofi knocks Bryan off, so he's in the middle of the ring. And Kofi's on top of the pod, and he goes for a huge splash. I thought he was going to go for a boom drop, to be honest, which would have been really cool. But Kofi hit this big splash. He missed. Nobody was home. Daniel Bryan moved out of the way last second. Heartbreak. And that led into the running knee. Kofi got up. Daniel hit the running knee and pinned Kofi, and he retained the title, and Kofi was heartbroken. The New Day came out. Xavier and Biggie came out to console him and say that he did great, and the whole crowd was giving him a standing ovation. And God bless Kofi Kingston. This was awesome. I've always loved the New Day because they're entertaining. I thought they started to get stale a little bit with the whole pancake thing, but they really are entertaining. And Kofi, man, if he was ever going to win the title, it was going to be during this show, but it just didn't happen. And it was a great match. Just Daniel and Kofi itself was a great match. The rest of it was still pretty good as a chamber match. There were some fun spots in it. And yeah, that's that. And all in all, I thought Elimination Chamber was kind of meh. The opener match, the women's tag chamber match, and the main event chamber match were really the only two things I enjoyed on this show. The rest of it, I could have easily done without, especially the squash match. But yeah, that's that. That's the chamber. And on Raw, we start off with I'll just get right into it since the show's already long enough. I've been pretty damn going long, and I guess it hasn't been that long. It's only been about 48 minutes. So Raw started off with Triple H, and I was really wondering, and there were reports, by the way, before Raw on Monday, there were reports that something big was going to happen. Something big was going to happen with something on Raw. Like, who was it? I think it was WrestleVotes on Twitter that was saying people within WWE were think outside the box with what they were going to do. And I thought, well, damn, what the hell could that possibly be? You know, like, to be honest, really, I have my expectations so low for the show that when something average at best happens, I think it's great. And I'll talk about that with this Raw episode. Because initially, I thought this crowd for this Raw episode was terrible. They were in Lafayette, Louisiana for Monday Night Raw. The Raw after the Chamber. This crowd I thought was horrible, but at the same time, I will go back on what I thought of Raw being good. I thought it was meh. Okay. It was okay. So Triple H comes out, and he makes the announcement that just out of nowhere, he's calling up Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, Aleister Black, and Ricochet from NXT. Out of nowhere. They're just calling up the 4 biggest men, biggest stars in NXT. Out of nowhere. And I should mention, by the way, before I forget, D-Generation X is going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. He mentioned that, and China, yes, China's finally going to be in the Hall of Fame. Many people were saying how they wanted her in. She's finally going to be in some sort. It's not a lone. It's not a lone induction, but hey, anything's good at this point, right? So yes, for the 4 biggest stars in NXT are just going to be brought up out of nowhere. Tommaso Ciampa, Gargano, Aleister Black, and Ricochet. And when I first saw this, I thought, well, damn, that is thinking outside the box. Let's just call up the 4 biggest stars in NXT out of nowhere. And some of them are still champions. Tommaso Ciampa is, of course, still the NXT champion, and Johnny Gargano is the North American champion. And they came out with their titles, which is cool. But this crowd could not give less of a shit when Triple H announced this, which kind of annoyed me. This crowd was so dead. You would think they would pop for an announcement like that. But no, they did not. So I was kind of annoyed at that. That's what I originally was thinking. Like, why would the crowd be dead after an announcement like that? So after this, they hyped up Baron Corbin versus Braun Strowman in a rematch, in a tables match. I'm so over this match. This feud is never going to end. You wonder why people die all the time. And by die, I mean, like, the characters and their hype and momentum. You seriously wonder why people just don't care about anybody. Nobody could care about Baron Corbin. And why is Baron Corbin still wearing that stupid attire? The stupid vest with the suit pants and the suit shoes. Why? As far as I know, he's not the GM anymore. Can't he get some damn gear? He looks so dumb. What's the point? I'm getting way too irritated about something as nitpicky and trivial as that, but it's just so annoying when he comes out in that dumb gear with his dumb, goofy-looking face. And this match didn't help. I was so over this match. I really didn't care. It was a tables match, too, and I like tables matches. So, yeah, they brawl outside the ring a lot. Braun gets driven into the announce table way up the ramp, which knocks over the announce table. The finish wasn't even that great either. It was just Braun catching Baron in a power slam position, and the table was set up in the corner, and Braun power slammed Baron into the corner, into the table. And I thought the finish was kind of lame, to be quite honest. Like, I don't know. That seems like a basic ass finish to me. That's all. I mean, I'm in no position to be telling people what to do with their show, because I've not ever claimed though that I would do a better job. But I don't know. I think it's pretty unimaginative in my opinion. Maybe he should have stacked up 2 tables and put Baron through it. But surprisingly, during this match, Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley were nowhere to be seen. They were just gone. They were just nowhere to be seen. They helped him the night before, but they didn't help him this year. So I guess they retconned that. Hopefully this means if they're going to retcon McIntyre and Lashley being Corbin's stooges, for lack of a better phrase, then hopefully they retcon this feud. Hopefully this is it. But, it seems like it's 50-50 at the moment, right? Corbin won at Elimination Chamber, and now Braun won in the Stables match on Raw. So Braun Strowman's going up the ramp. Paul Heyman says he's coming out there, and Paul Heyman and Braun Strowman run into each other, and Braun grabs Paul for some reason. Like, he grabs him by the shoulder, and of course Heyman is selling this great, but why did he do this? Was this planting the seed of a potential Braun versus Brock match again, because I really can't see any other reason as to why Braun would just go out of his way to put Paul Heyman in this firm grasp. And after that, they show a great video package of Brock Lesnar throughout the years, his journey in WWE. Paul Heyman cuts the same boring ass promo about it. boring. I seriously could not care less about the Paul Heyman promos again. Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins is the coldest feud in the history of feuds. That's an exaggeration. It probably isn't, but I'm so over Brock Lesnar as champion. You can't do anything with it. There's no creativity to be had. Say what you want about WWE being unimaginative and not creative whatsoever with what they do, but honestly, with Brock as champion, what could you do? You really can't do much of anything. He never shows up. He doesn't ever talk, so that already, right off the bat, Paul Heyman might be great at promos, but he cuts the same promo every time. It might be really good every time, but sometimes it just gets a little tedious when he cuts the same promo. So, for no reason, Finn Balor interrupts Paul, and I thought they were going to start talking to each other, Finn and Paul, but no, he didn't. He just came out, and Finn Balor is the new IC title holder, and Finn Balor says it was a dream of his to win the Intercontinental Championship, and Lio Rush comes out. He says, I failed Bobby Lashley. I'm going to destroy you, blah, 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 whatever. I don't even fucking know. I didn't even pay that much attention to it, to be quite honest with you. But then out of nowhere, as Rush is on the stage at the entranceway talking to Finn, who's in the ring, Lashley out of nowhere comes from behind and beats down on Finn Balor. So I guess Lashley and Lio are, again, a unit. I guess they're not breaking up. So why the hell did they tease a breakup? Is this kind of like Jinder Mahal attacking the Singh Bros every now and then to like show his displeasure with them? So Lashley is committing assault on Finn, and Ricochet's music hits, which is pretty cool. And of course, I'm a huge fan of Ricochet. Ricochet comes in, he makes the save. He runs down the aisle and does a somersault to dodge Lio Rush going for a clothesline. He jumps up on the apron. He kicks Lashley. He hits a backflip onto Lio Rush, and then he hits a big springboard dropkick onto Lashley in the ring. And that was me explaining that. It took me longer to explain that than to say what actually happened, because he was that quick. It took me longer to explain that compared to what actually happened, is what I'm trying to say. Because Ricochet is really fast, you see. So it goes to break, and then after that, it's Finn Balor and Ricochet versus Lio Rush and Bobby Lashley in a tag team match, which originally I thought this match was fine, but really, like, I don't know what... If it's Ricochet's debut match, why wouldn't you want to put him in a singles match with somebody to more show off what he's capable of? Putting him in a match where he's going to sell to Lashley the whole time, and not the whole time, but he's sold against Lashley. Nobody cares about Lashley. Like, it's one thing if he sells against somebody like Finn Balor or, you know, Drew McIntyre or whoever who's actually serious, but like, I don't know. We could have got Ricochet in a singles. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. Who cares? Ricochet and Lio had some fun back and forths in the ring with each other. Finn gets in the ring and he sells two pretty much against Lashley the whole time, and Ricochet comes in, he makes the hot tag. Well, I say hot but the crowd was deader than a doornail. He makes the quote unquote hot tag. Ricochet comes in, he hits some great offense, and his finish is the 630 splash. He hit the 630 splash onto Lio Rush, and that move always looks great. But it's kind of worrying when you watch it, because if he botches that move, it's he might be if he botches that move, things are not going to go well. So yes, Ricochet pinned Leo. Finn Balor and Ricochet won the match. So I mean, that was fine. That was, whatever. I just wish Ricochet could have been in a singles in his debut match and not sell at all to anybody. So go backstage. Triple H and Drew McIntyre come out. McIntyre's talking to Triple H backstage, and Drew McIntyre says to Triple H that he couldn't help but notice that you're rolling out the red carpet for all these NXT guys. And when I got here, you said I would do it. I said I would do anything to prove myself. I want Seth Rollins to do the same. And Dean Ambrose comes out of nowhere and challenges McIntyre to a match himself by slapping McIntyre in the face. So I guess Ambrose is officially face. I guess that proves the... I was asking if Ambrose is a face or a heel last week on Raw with the EC3 shit. That annoyed me. So Ambrose just slaps McIntyre in the face and walks away. And Drew doesn't even retaliate. So I guess that's the match. After this, there was Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder versus Lucha House Party match. Who gives a shit? Freaking Lucha House Party won. I don't care. It doesn't mean anything. And then after this, I forgot that DIY, Tommaso Ciampa and Revival are having a match. I thought, well, shit, what a match. Like, to be hyping up. Damn, that's quite the debut. But, again, I have to say, they called up, it looks like Ciampa and Gargano are heels on NXT. Well, I mean, Gargano seems to tend more towards heel at the moment. I'm still not completely convinced that he's outright heel. Ciampa is definitely a heel, though. But on Raw, they just get called up as faces. They're already botching the call-ups, in my opinion. Already. Why are they faces? Why? Again, also why I love the fact that they had DIY versus Revival, okay? I'm not saying anything bad about the match. As I'll get into it, the match was fine. The match was really good, okay? But I gotta say, why only a week after Revival win the tag team championships are you sending them up to lose? Why? You couldn't have freaking Ciampa and Gargano against anyone else, another tag team. Like, you could have had Ciampa and Gargano versus Gable and Rude, the faces versus the heels. But instead, we had to make Gargano and Ciampa face, even though Ciampa is one of the biggest heel assholes in the entire company. I was thinking forever, for the longest time, until Daniel Bryan had a character change, that Ciampa was the biggest heel on the planet, in my opinion. But now he's a babyface. I'm already puzzled. It just shows that they don't watch NXT. They don't care about NXT. They just call up guys that they think are stars. They just call them up and see what happens. So, you know what? Screw watching NXT and seeing what worked. Let's just call up these guys that are heel assholes, except for maybe Gargano. Let's just call up these guys who were heels, but turn them into babyfaces. No explanation, no anything. So yeah, that annoyed me. That actually irritated me. But, with that being said, DIY versus Revival was a pretty fun match. I really enjoyed it because, if anybody remembers from watching NXT TakeOver from a couple years ago, they had some classics. They had classic matches. And they link up, Tommaso and Gargano link up for some fun offense outside the ring. Gargano super kicks Wilder into Ciampa's path, and then Ciampa throws him into the steel steps, and Ciampa does the cool clap, applaud himself, and pat himself on the back thing when he sits up on the apron after he does moves outside. And that's a heel thing too. And The match is great. The match is totally fine and it's totally good, but the crowd could not be more dead. So you know what? Whatever. You know. Freaking Revival do this awesome German suplex elbow off the top combination where Wilder hits Ciampa as Dawson is holding Ciampa in a German suplex, so it's like a double whammy. He German suplexes him while at the same time is getting elbowed, and then they get into a jackknife cover, which looked seamless. Ciampa kicked out. I thought that might have been the finish, to be honest. Ciampa counters the Shatter Machine pretty sweetly. I thought he was gonna get hit with the Shatter Machine, but then instead of getting hit with it, he just didn't take it. He just stopped, like dead in his tracks. He just stopped short and then went for a jackknife cover himself. It got kicked out of. Ciampa arm drag tossed Wilder into the corner. He tagged Gargano in. Gargano hit the slingshot DDT, and that was the pinfall. That was the match, and that was actually, I'm completely wrong. That was not the match. That was not the finish. I was completely wrong. That was the near fall, I should say. See, I'm already so burnt out and dead after everything. So that was not the finish. My bad. The finish was the knee strike and the super kick combination that they do. And yeah, but in my fairness, the slingshot DDT was not too far behind the finish itself. So Ciampa and Gargano won. They pinned the champions a week after they won the titles, so that was kind of disappointing. But you know, they booked themselves into a corner with that one. So what are you gonna do? So after that, they had another Kevin Owens promo on his phone where he's at the movies with his son. They're making at first. I still think Kevin Owens looks like a somewhat of a bum with these type of promos with his phone, his camera phone. And you know what? At the same time, I still think it kind of makes him look dumb in a sense. Like, why is Kevin Owens doing phone camera promos? Like, could we not get real promos or anything? But like real legit camera, like real cameras and stuff. It just looks cheap to me. That's all. It's a nitpick. It's a nitpick. But at the same time, it's building Kevin Owens to be an actual lovable babyface. He's with his family in all these clips. He's talking about how I've really found out what I'm fighting for. I'm going to come back fighting and strong. And honestly, this is a good thing because Raw has a lack of believable baby faces. Let me tell you, they do not have many believable baby faces. So, yeah, after that, before that. I'm jumbled up with all the order of everything, but Ronda Rousey and Ruby Riott are backstage. They're both preparing for their match later in the night, which is a rematch for the women's title. So they didn't explain at all why Ruby Riott is all of a sudden now getting another title match against Ronda Rousey, when she didn't deserve it in the first place because she got squashed in 1 minute and 40 seconds. So I was like, are they going to squash her again? Because how the hell would Ronda have any trouble with her this time? So yeah, that's the main event. But up next, and the crowd, by the way, is still dead at this point. Sasha and Bayley come out hoisting their new women's tag titles, which actually look nice in my opinion. They're actually nice looking titles. For once in this damn company, there's a nice looking title. So they cut a pretty damn typical babyface promo. It was just nothing of real substance was said other than we worked hard and blah blah blah, and we came a long way, and the crowd was dead. They did chant "You deserve it," to be honest, but that's it. And then Nia and Tamina come out to try to attack them, I guess. And I'm just like, oh, why? Like, why are we still trying to push not to push, but push Nia and Tamina in this role of actually being serious contenders for things? It's very obvious nobody wants to see them. I don't want to see them. I'm in a position where just I'm just gobsmacked that Nia's still on TV. You know, Tamina's really not. I mean, Tamina's. I think Tamina gets a lot of unwarranted hate. She's still not interesting though. She's still boring as hell. But that being said, I'm still baffled that Nia is still on TV as bad as she is in all facets. Nia said that nobody wants to sit through Sasha and Bailey's nauseating love fest. Judging by this crowd, nobody wanted to sit through anything because they were dead silent. I don't know why you'd pay tickets to be silent through a whole show. And listen, just saying, Raw, this episode really didn't, besides the NXT call-ups, and even then they botched that a little bit, which I'll go into more. Other than the NXT call-ups, they really did not, the Raw and the people organizing and putting together a show did not give the crowd much to really actually be excited about. This show was meh. I thought it was actually good, but it goes into what I was saying before. Maybe when something average happens, it only seems like it's freaking so. When something average happens, it only seems like it's really good because my expectations are so low now because the show has just been so shit for so long. So when something average at best happens, it seems like it's great. But the more I thought about it, this show really wasn't anything serious, and it was not that great. Nia and Tamina are coming out. They're cutting this promo. Nia told Sasha she only cares about herself and that she always loses the title after the first defense, which is true. And then Nia and Tamina tried to go down there and beat up Sasha and Bailey, and they delivered the worst offense ever. They didn't even do anything. It was just they just ran them off. They just did nothing. So I don't know why Nia and Tamina came out if they were not even if they went to go attack them, but then they just ran off after. I know they're heels, but why would you go trying to attack them, but then leave the second you only take mild offense from who you're trying to attack? Excuse me, I'm getting a little raspy right now. I'm getting a little it's hard doing a solo show, man. I really gotta get Eric to do these with me consistently. Excuse me. So after that, it's Dean Ambrose versus Drew McIntyre in a. I guess this match was filler because this match did not last very long at all, at all. Dean Ambrose went for a move off the top rope, but he jumped off, somersaulted over McIntyre, and then as he turns around, McIntyre Claymore kicks Dean. But then he goes for his second one for good measure and pins Dean Ambrose. So that match was really nothing. And I guess I don't know what the hell they do with Dean now. I really don't. So Drew stands tall. Hopefully this is the beginning of Drew actually being taken seriously and not just being Corbin's stooge. Just the fact that you would take orders from Baron Corbin, that is upsetting. So after that, we get Elias in the ring. He's doing his typical heel promo. He's talking about how hygienic he is, especially for this backwoods swamp that is Lafayette, Louisiana. He says he starts to sing a song, or actually before he can sing a song, Aleister Black's music hits, and he's brought out. And if there's a star that they have that could potentially be the I should say, Aleister's definitely up there. He's got presence. He's actually not bad on the mic. He might be a foreigner. He's Dutch. He might be a foreigner, but he's still not bad on the mic. He speaks fluent English. He's a damn good in-ring performer. He's just his entrance is great. His in-ring ability is great. His promos are good. He's got almost everything, to be honest. But I watched this match. It's Aleister Black versus Elias, and it's Aleister's first fucking match on the main roster, and he's selling to fucking Elias. Why is he selling to Elias? It's his first match. Elias is putting Aleister in rest holds, and Aleister's selling like 80 to 85% of the match against Elias. And nothing against Elias, but come on. It's Aleister's first match. Why does he need to sell this much? But Aleister delivered some offense. He strikes Elias in the legs. He hits the Black Mass for the victory onto Elias. The crowd, of course, again, was dead. And actually, on Twitter, I likened this crowd to early 2000s IWA MS. And I only made that comparison in thinking that just how small the crowds were in IWA in the early 2000s. That's what I was meaning. I only meant the crowds were so small, so the crowd as small as that is as quiet as a crowd as big as this. So that's all I meant. But then upon watching after watching this show, I actually went and watched some early 2000s IWA, and I came to the conclusion that those crowds were way louder than the crowd at Lafayette, Louisiana during this Raw. So I feel bad for ever freaking comparing that crowd to this shit show of a crowd. So yeah. And then after that, main event, Raw Women's Championship match. Ronda Rousey versus Ruby Riott in a rematch. Ruby, of course, got a jobber entrance, so she should have got a damn jobber entrance last night if they were going to treat her like that. But then she actually had a pretty decent match with Ronda. And, like, it went about, how long did it go? Maybe 10 minutes? I thought it was okay. It wasn't great, you know. It was good. They had some fun offense. Ruby actually looked good for once. Like, I don't know why they couldn't just have this match at the Elimination Chamber. There was no reason. There was one part, though. There was one part in this match where Ronda hit a crossbody. Ronda hit a crossbody, but she, like, it was here's the scene. Ruby is outside the ring. Liv and Sarah are out at ringside, of course. And Liv and Sarah are, they're just standing there outside the ring, just waiting for Ronda. And Ronda's on the top rope, and she's going to hit a crossbody onto Sarah and Liv. But Ronda slips. Ronda's foot slips, and she almost does not make it. She almost completely missed Liv and Sarah, and luckily Liv and Sarah caught her. But her left foot slipped off the rope, and that could have ended badly. Why even have her do that spot? And she doesn't really. I was listening to wasn't listening to it, but I read a Jim Cornette review of this past episode of Raw. He actually watched Raw, and he actually pointed out things that I don't even think about. Like, he pointed out so many things that he's, of course, a great mind for wrestling, and he pointed out so many things that was, like, true, and I didn't even think about it. Like, Ronda doesn't need to do a crossbody, does she? She's Ronda Rousey. She's a dominant striker. She's a submission specialist, right? So, yeah, the crossbody was almost a disaster, but luckily she was caught. She comes in. She puts Ruby in the freaking armbar. She taps Ruby out. Luckily, Ruby actually looked good in this match, but again, I don't know why they couldn't have just done this match on the Elimination Chamber. There was no reason. There was no reason they couldn't have done this match at the Chamber. So, after this match ended, Liv Morgan runs in. Ronda destroys Liv with the Piper's Pit. Sarah Logan runs in. She hits a judo throw onto Logan. And no Becky came out. No Charlotte came out. It was that was just the end of the show. The show I thought was meh after further thought. My original thought was that it was good. It really wasn't that good. Sadly, the NXT call-ups cannot save Raw. I don't know why I'm shocked. I'm not actually shocked, but yeah. After this, we got SmackDown, and of course, we all know that Kofi is a star, and they were hyping up. They're hyping up before SmackDown. We're gonna find out who faces Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship at Fastlane, and I just realized that one of my polls that I ran on Twitter on the @PodTellers Twitter account that we have for this show, one of the polls I ran got 0 votes. So that's kind of sad. I don't know why nobody voted, but whatever. It's okay. It's fine. So the show starts with Shane McMahon. They do a recap, a video package recap of Kofi Kingston's heroics and came so close in the Chamber match. And after this, after this, Shane talks about the NXT call-ups that are also going to be on SmackDown. And might I say, I think the NXT call-ups were actually booked better on this show than Raw, except for the fact that Ciampa and Gargano are still faces. I don't know why. I've already went over it. They shouldn't be faces. But anyways, Shane hypes up the NXT call-ups. The Miz comes out, and Miz is so gutted, and he's just sad that he lost the match for them at the Chamber. And he said he has not slept in 2 days. 48 hours straight he has not slept. Like, damn. At least he's putting over the titles and really putting over that he lost. So, he goes, he confesses to Shane that he was actually using Shane. He was actually using him because he knew that he could relate to the way he feels about his dad. When Miz fell injured at the Best in the World tournament, Shane McMahon stepped in and won. And when I'm already getting so mixed up. The long story short, Miz is sad as shit that he lost the titles for Shane, and the story is still dumb because it's all about Miz's father, which is already stupid in and of itself. Miz's father's a heel in this program. I don't care what anybody says. Miz's father's a heel. Shane McMahon took a chance on Miz being his partner, and after this, the Usos came out, gloating that they won the SmackDown Tag Team titles, of course, and Shane and Miz got the crowd hyped up for a rematch. Miz is trying to get the rematch chant going, and by the way, this crowd was in. This show was in New Orleans, Louisiana, and this crowd was much better than the one on Raw. I have to say, it was much better. So the crowd's chanting rematch, 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 and the Usos just accept. The Usos are like, yeah, we'll have a rematch. We'll have it at Fastlane. And I did not think they could make me care less about Usos versus Shane and Miz, but I do. They made me care less. Seriously. How is that possible? Why are we doing this match again? Honestly, we've got the club, we've got Sanity, we've got the Bar, we've got, New Day have been in it too much against Usos, but we got all these tag teams, and we're throwing together Shane McMahon and Miz in a tag team, and we're getting a rematch. So much for automatic rematches. So Shane is just like, yeah, I'll be in a rematch for a title. Yeah, screw fighting for my opportunity and everything. I'll just put myself in a new match. It's fine. And surprisingly, they did not. I don't think they mentioned Jimmy Uso and his little bust up with the police. So that was interesting. Normally they mention stuff like that for like little cool moments of shade throwing and dissing. So, as I clear my throat, up next, Aleister Black comes out up next, and they're hyping up Andrade Cien Almas versus Aleister Black. And this is a match where if Aleister were to sell in it, it's totally fine that he sells against Andrade. Because Andrade is actually a legit threat and is actually like great and built up. At least recently he's been built up as a great wrestler, and at least he's been built up against Rey Mysterio being a great wrestler. So if Aleister sells in this match, that's totally fine. So this match was way better than his match with Elias, of course. And they have chemistry from when they were both at NXT facing each other anyways. So they had some fun offense, and Andrade hit the knee backbreaker into the reverse DDT onto the apron, and that was actually during the commercial, but they do the screen stuff so you can see it. I was really wondering who Zelina was cheering for in this match. I'm just kidding. I saw that she pointed out that people were making that joke on Instagram with the SpongeBob mocking chicken meme, and yeah, those jokes are lame. We all know that Aleister is married to Zelina, and she was out there cheering for Andrade, so it was just kind of funny. So, yeah, I thought this match was way better than freaking Elias versus Aleister. Aleister hits awesome offense, hits a Meteora, then he hits a big kick, and then a German suplex onto Andrade. And then eventually Aleister Black hits the Black Mass onto Andrade and pins Andrade. And this match was way better than Elias and Aleister, as I've said 3 times. But I can't stress it enough because I'm still irritated at the fact that he sold to Elias on his debut match. I'm sorry, but this brings up a great point that, like I said, I listened to that Jim Cornette Raw review. I didn't listen to it, like I said, I read it, but he, for all intents and purposes, is a casual. Jim Cornette is a casual. He still knows a lot of the wrestlers, but he does not watch Raw. So, really, for all intents and purposes, he's a casual. So when he comes in and watches this, how is a casual supposed to care for a new NXT call-up when, for one, if you're a casual, you're probably not watching NXT, okay? So when an NXT guy gets called up, how are you supposed to care when he sells to Elias? Like, at least a casual would know that Andrade is somewhat of a threat. That's all I'm saying. So after that, we got backstage segment with The Bar and DIY. The Bar DIY rather, challenge The Bar to a tag team match later in the night. In fact, I think that was actually already set up. So it's DIY versus The Bar. And damn, they had a spot in here where freaking Ciampa was doing a sunset flip power bomb. What exactly was this spot? He tried to hit a sunset flip power bomb onto Sheamus, Ciampa was, but he like almost tweaked his leg badly. Like the way his knee and leg bent when he landed, it almost was really bad. And it also drove his knee into Sheamus's back. And we all know Sheamus has back problems. He almost, from what I read like a year or two ago, he almost had to retire due to spinal stenosis, which is what Edge had to retire to. So, yeah, that looks scary. This was a fun match. The Bar are a great tag team, of course. DIY are great, of course. He went for the Johnny Gargano went for the Gargano escape. But the finish actually was Ciampa rolling up Cesaro with a schoolboy. And that was the finish. So they didn't outright beat The Bar. They didn't actually they rolled them up. So this sets up rematches, and as we know from after the show, it's Cesaro versus Johnny Gargano on SmackDown. So that should be a pretty good match. They're both great wrestlers, and Cesaro's one of my favorites, actually, legitimately. So, yes. After this, they hype up. Samoa Joe's backstage getting ready for the main event, which is a 6-man tag match between Samoa Joe, Daniel Bryan, and I think it was Randy Orton versus New versus Kofi Kingston, AJ Styles, and Jeff Hardy. So, I mean, I guess those are the only competitors that are in it in the title picture. You know what? That's fine. That's fine. I still feel bad for Mustafa after all this because Mustafa was great, and I really was missing him during that Chamber match. So they also hype up Ricochet versus Eric Young later in the night. Remember him? Damn, remember Eric Young? Sanity? I remember them. I remember when they actually used to show up. But yeah. So Eric Young's finally going to be on TV in a match. I can't remember the last time he wrestled. So here's another remember her moment. Remember them moment. Asuka comes out. The women's champion of SmackDown has not been on the show for 2 weeks. That is ridiculous. She's not Brock Lesnar. There's no reason for her to not to be on the show. So, Asuka is interviewed in the ring, and the crowd was chanting "what" during this. Again, I've been over it. I can't stand when the crowd chants "what" at Asuka because she's Japanese. When the crowd chants "what" to a non-English speaking wrestler trying to cut a promo in English, it's so rude. Like, it's just a dick move. She's a babyface too. They shouldn't be having Asuka cut promos. I'm sorry. I don't care how good her English is getting. If it means that the crowd is gonna shit on you and chant "what" when you're the babyface, that's just a recipe for disaster. So, Asuka was asked if she feels like she's getting lost in the shuffle with everyone talking about Ronda, Becky, and Charlotte, and Asuka says that I don't want to talk about Becky or I don't want to talk about Charlotte. I want to know who's ready for Asuka right now. So, of course, who else is ready for Asuka but Mandy Rose? And of course, Corey Graves gets a hard on whenever Mandy's music hits, and I'm really starting to get annoyed. I read a report, and of course I read a lot of reports. I'm no insider, but I keep up. But I read that the supposed plan for WrestleMania and Asuka's match at WrestleMania for the SmackDown Women's title is Asuka versus Mandy Rose at Mania. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm really not looking for, if that's true, I'm really not looking forward to Corey blatantly ignoring the match and talking about how hot Mandy is during the match. I'm starting to get a little annoyed with that. We all know that Mandy is hot, okay? You don't need to freaking tell us that. You don't need to ignore the match and just talk about how hot she is. We all know she's a wrestler, dude. Like, who gives a shit? Can you imagine if this was, let me put it to you this way. Wrestling might be fake. I don't mean it like that in a bad way, but we all know it's not real, okay? But at the same time, we're supposed to believe that it's real. We're supposed to suspend our disbelief and believe that what is happening is true and it's legit and it's a sport and it's wrestling, right? What you are seeing is a match. And when one of the commentators of said match is not talking about so-and-so's ability, but talking about how hot they are, like, can you imagine if you were watching a women's basketball game and the commentator, instead of talking about how good a player was, they just talked about how hot they were? It would be stupid. This applies here too. I'm sick of Corey. I don't even know if anybody's telling him to do this either. I really don't at this point. I'm tired of this commentary, man. It doesn't do anybody any favors whatsoever. So yeah, it was Mandy versus Asuka tonight in this match. If you couldn't tell. I still think Sonya Deville is vastly underrated. If anybody should be going against Asuka at Mania, it should be Sonya, but they haven't built her up enough. But I don't even have too much of a problem with Mandy. I think she's better than most people lead her on to be. I think she's way better than most people say. But I still would rather them build up Sonya and be the one to go after Asuka. So that's just me though. So The finish of this match, actually, I didn't like. I didn't like the finish of this match at all. The finish of this match was Mandy's hitting offense on Asuka, but Asuka finally mounts a little bit of a comeback, and Lacey Evans' music comes up. Actually, this happened earlier in the match. Lacey Evans was out there. Lacey Evans comes out, and she actually stands out there. Instead of going away immediately, she stands out there a little bit. She stands out there a little bit, and then she starts to walk away. And Asuka's watching this all happen. So then when she turns around, Mandy hits, I think it was a flying knee. Mandy hits a move, and she kicks out of that. So at least she didn't get pinned in that way. But she got pinned in an even dumber way, in my opinion. Like, I'm just reading through this finish again, and I'm just reading this finish again, and man, it's even dumber than I fucking thought. So, Asuka hits a knee. I'm just trying to help you visualize this. Asuka hits a knee to Mandy's face. So, this prompts Mandy to start screaming and in pain, in horrible, horrible pain, and she's holding her eye. She's holding her eye, and she's like, my eye, I can't see, blah, 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 I'm really hurt. And the referee's checking on her, and Asuka gets close to her, but it was all fake, you see. It was all not true. She actually didn't have an eye injury. She was just working Asuka. So she throws Asuka into the ropes, face and throat first into the ropes, and then rolls up Asuka and pins her with a schoolboy. That finish sucked. So Asuka's first match, actually probably not even her first match, Asuka's first match in like 3 weeks or so is a roll-up schoolboy pin against Mandy Rose after looking like an idiot being fooled by Mandy Rose. Why? Why are we doing this to Asuka? Why is Asuka's loss like this? If Asuka's going to lose, it should not be in that fashion, like an idiot. This is exactly what happened to Carmella, where she just lost like an idiot against Ellsworth and all that crap. And yeah, I don't know why we're doing this. Yeah, Mandy Rose won after a ruse. Actually, you know what? I can't even say that. She didn't even win dirty. She just tricked Asuka. It was completely legitimate. It was clean. It was fair. She didn't cheat. She was just tricking Asuka. So yeah, Mandy won. So I guess that puts her name in the running for SmackDown Women's title match. So yeah, good stuff, I guess. I guess they'll probably face off at Fastlane. Damn, dude. I'm getting tired, man. These solo reviews are killing me. Yeah. So Charlotte has a backstage segment. I couldn't care less. This show's going on too long. I'm just gonna get through it. Ricochet versus Eric Young is in progress when we get back from the break. I mean, God bless Sanity and Eric Young. I love seeing him and everything, but I mean, you know, did we really think that Eric Young was going to beat Ricochet? Like, really? This is the type of match that should have happened, to be honest. I mean, Ricochet did sell to Eric Young, who hasn't been seen in months, who's really not a threat. But you know what? Whatever. I would consider Eric Young more of a threat than Elias, to be honest. But yeah, Ricochet did win. He won with the 630 splash again, and that always looks, of course, like I said, it looks always amazing, and he really squashed Eric Young with this move. So backstage, it's main event time, 6-man tag team match time, and backstage, New Day are being interviewed in Gorilla, and they're talking how Kofi has been grinding for 11 years to try and get where he is today, try and get a title match, try and win the title. Everybody on Twitter had my back. This is so great. None of this would have happened without my friends in the New Day, Xavier and Big E. They're the ones who pushed for me to be in the Chamber. But now, time to go out there and show what we're capable of in the 6-man main event. And yeah, they come out. New Day comes out to the ring. Kofi, I should say, because he's representing the New Day in this. So everybody else is out there already. And then Daniel Bryan comes out. He cuts a promo. Daniel Bryan says, "Small-minded skeptics have oppressed the great minds throughout history. Thomas Becket, Joan of Arc, Socrates, and so too they tried to oppress me in the chamber." And they being AJ and Kofi and freaking Jeff Hardy, just the faces, I guess. "But I survived because I follow a higher purpose, to enlighten and educate, and I'm going to do it once more. But with regards to Fastlane, I'm not going to fight any of you in this ring, because I already defeated all of you at the Chamber." So I knew the second they said this that it was going to be Kofi, because like, how could it not be? You know what I mean? Like, nobody actually thought that it wouldn't be Kofi. And if it wasn't, that'd be stupid. I still was under the impression that they should have just done it at Mania and not Fastlane, but hey, whatever. So the match happens. The match happens. It was your standard 6-man tag with all these guys, and Kofi looks good, and Kofi runs wild. He splashes onto everybody outside the ring. He kicks Daniel Bryan. He hits the Trouble in Paradise on Daniel Bryan and pins Daniel again. So he pinned him. So Daniel Bryan got pinned by Kofi in that gauntlet match last week, and now here he is being pinned again by Kofi Kingston. So then Shane McMahon comes out. And tells everybody that Daniel Bryan's opponent for Fastlane is in fact Kofi Kingston. So the crowd goes crazy. Everybody's cheering. Kofi's happy. Daniel Bryan's facial expression looks great. Like, I can't believe this. Like, he's looking disheveled and broken down. And yeah, that was SmackDown. I really can't tell you what show was better this week, Raw or SmackDown. Normally I try to say which show was better, but to be quite honest, it was, I don't know. Both shows were kind of average, but there was really, I mean, I don't know. I guess SmackDown by default, because Raw, again, I just didn't like the way they handled the NXT call-ups. And it goes for SmackDown as well. Like, why would you just keep having Gargano and Ciampa as heels? Like, I don't know. But with that being said, they booked Aleister better, and obviously facing Andrade, not freaking Elias or anything. Yeah, I guess it's always easier to pick SmackDown over Raw, because SmackDown is shorter than Raw, and that helps. Because if SmackDown's shorter than Raw, and at least if SmackDown sucks, it's shorter than Raw, right? If Raw sucks, it's 3 hours long, and I got to sit through all of that. That's never fun. So, yeah, lots of news, though, this week in WWE. Other than that, lots of releases. Ty Dillinger was released. TJ Perkins was released. And Hideo Itami was released. Lots of releases. I'm wondering where they're going to go. Everybody with the freaking Cody Rhodes gif with the camera zooming in on him with his hand up to cupping his ear. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where they go. I think Hideo Itami would probably just go back to Japan. But also the biggest news is that Roman Reigns will show up on Raw tomorrow. He will address everyone, and he will give an update on his status with his battle against leukemia. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it's great news. And I don't know how far along he is with his treatment and his battle, but hopefully he's close. He's very close to a a comeback. So I've been saying forever, since Roman left. I've been saying since Roman left, this Raw has been bad. Raw was bad with Roman. It was no fault of any of the talent, of course, but I'm just saying, after Roman left Raw, that show seriously fell off a cliff because they built the whole show around Roman. So when they put all their eggs into one basket and all of a sudden that guy that is built, that is has the show built around him, suddenly has to leave, yeah, the show's gonna suck. But yeah, hopefully Roman comes back. I seriously do miss Roman. I wish him Godspeed. Some announced matches though for SmackDown, and some announced things for SmackDown. Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston are going to have a contract signing for their match at Fastlane. And what else? Johnny Gargano will face Cesaro in a one-on-one match on SmackDown, which should be fun, of course, if they get time. And then Ricochet and Aleister Black versus Shinsuke Nakamura and Rusev. And why is Rusev and Nakamura still a thing? Does anybody even remember R-Truth? R-Truth is the United States champion. He has not been... Fun fact about R-Truth. R-Truth won the United States Championship in January, 2 nights after the Rumble pay-per-view. He has not made one single appearance on SmackDown since he won the title. And he's the fucking champion on SmackDown. Why is he not showing up? What is he doing? Where is he? Where is he? I have no idea. R-Truth is one of the most entertaining guys on the show in the first place. Why do they want to rob us of actual entertainment? I don't get it. So yeah, let's just throw together Rusev and Nakamura. And not to mention the fact when Rusev and Nakamura banded together last month to challenge, or when the club called them out, Rusev said to Nakamura, "I'll only team with you this one time." But here they are, just teaming up again. I have no explanation. Continuity, right? Fuck continuity. So, yeah, that's at the moment as of this recording. Those are the only things that are not planned. Those are the only things that are announced for Raw and SmackDown. I guess we'll see what happens. That was my solo review. I feel dead. I really hope Eric comes back eventually. Yeah. I don't know what to say. So that's it. That was anticlimactic, but yeah, that was it. I guess I'll see you all next week, and I'm probably gonna head off to bed now. So thank you for watching my solo review. I'll link our Twitter stuff in the description. I forgot to do that. Also, I'll do that in post. And yeah, see you later. Good night.